It was a chilly morning in mid-November when Amelia stepped into the glass-paneled entrance of St. Celeste Medical Clinic. She had been feeling unusually tired, a bit dizzy, and her heartbeat sometimes skipped like a stone over water. Reluctantly, she took a day off work to finally see a doctor. The receptionist gave her a clipboard with forms, and a soft instrumental song hummed in the background. As she filled out her information, she caught herself glancing around the waiting area. She didn't know why she felt so nervous. Maybe it was the sterile scent of antiseptic or the sterile white walls, but something felt different about today. Within 20 minutes, her name was called. Amelia Rivers? She stood up and followed a nurse down a long hallway to room 3, where she was told to wait. The door creaked open again, and walked a man in a white coat with gentle eyes and a charming but calm demeanor. "Good morning, Ms. Rivers," he said, his voice smooth and warm. "I'm Dr. Adrian Hart." He extended his hand, and as she shook it, Amelia felt a strange current of energy between them, not just nervousness. Something more. He glanced through her charts and began his examination, asking questions and listening with genuine interest. As he pressed the stethoscope to her chest, their eyes met for a fleeting second, and it was as if time hung still. Her breath caught, and Dr. Hart hesitated ever so slightly before returning to his professional tone. "Nothing alarming so far," he said, offering a reassuring smile. "But I'd like you to come back in a few days for further tests, just to be sure." She nodded, but as she stood to leave, he added, "Take care of yourself, Ms. Rivers." When she returned days later, something in the air had shifted. Maybe it was the way he greeted her with a smile that lingered too long, or how his hand brushed hers when he passed her a file. After the exam, instead of walking her to the door, he asked, "Would you like a coffee sometime?" Amelia hesitated, but the look in his eyes was unmistakable, kind, gentle, and honest. "I'd like that," she whispered. Their first date was quiet and simple, a cozy coffee shop near the river. The conversation flowed easily. He told her about his childhood dream of becoming a doctor, and she told him about her love of painting, how she once dreamed of opening a gallery. Hours passed as they laughed, shared secrets, and leaned in closer with every word. That night ended with a shy hug, but the warmth of it stayed with them both as they went home. What followed was a whirlwind. They began seeing each other regularly. Walks in the park, museum visits, dinners that stretched past midnight. They stole kisses in the quiet corners of the world, outside her apartment, in his car, beneath a blooming cherry tree in the hospital's rear garden. Their chemistry was undeniable, intense yet gentle. One evening, after a late dinner, Adrian invited Amelia to his apartment. Rain pattered softly against the windows as they sat on the couch, their hands entwined. The air thickened with emotion. When they finally kissed, really kissed, it felt like stars were aligning. That night, wrapped in each other's arms beneath warm sheets and whispered promises, they fell asleep together for the first time. Their sleep was deep and peaceful, and when the sun rose through the curtains, it felt like a new chapter had begun. Weeks turned into months. Despite the busy schedules, they made time. Morning coffees turned into breakfast dates. Late-night calls turned into shared books and movies on the couch. Their lives began to entwine like vines, naturally and beautifully. Adrian introduced her to his mother, who adored Amelia instantly. Amelia brought Adrian to meet her younger sister, who noticed how her big sister smiled differently now, more like a woman who was deeply, beautifully in love. On a snowy December evening, Adrian took Amelia to the rooftop of St. Celeste Clinic. He had set it up with lanterns, candles, and a little table set for two. They dined under the stars, the city lights glowing around them. At the end of the night, Adrian stood, took her hand, and knelt. "I met you here in room 3, he said softly. "You came in looking for answers, and I found mine. You're the reason I believe in fate. Will you marry me, Amelia Rivers?" Tears in her eyes, heart racing, she nodded. "Yes, Adrian, I will." They married in spring. A garden ceremony with white roses, gentle violins, and sunlight that kissed their faces as they said, "I do." Everyone thought the story would end there, but it didn't. On the first night of their honeymoon, as they lay together by the beach, Adrian pulled her into his arms and whispered, "There's something I have to tell you." Amelia's heart paused. "I wasn't supposed to be your doctor that day," he confessed. "Another physician was scheduled, but I traded shifts last minute. I'd never done that before. Something just pulled me in that morning. And when I saw your name on the chart, I felt like I knew you already." Amelia blinked, confused. "What do you mean?" He reached into his suitcase and pulled out a weathered sketchbook. He flipped to a page. There, in soft pencil lines, was her face. "2 years ago," he said, "I saw you painting by the lake. You never saw me. I sketched you, and I kept the drawing. I didn't know your name. I never forgot your face." Tears welled in Amelia's eyes. A stranger she never noticed had noticed her enough to sketch her, and fate brought them together in a clinic room years later. She pressed her lips to his and whispered, "So it really was destiny." Their love story wasn't born of perfection, but of timing, fate, and unspoken connections. Two people meant to cross paths. From a white-walled clinic room to a starlit rooftop proposal, their love defied logic. And the most shocking part? 9 months later, Amelia walked back into room 3, but this time, not as a patient. As Dr. Amelia Hart. She had gone back to medical school, and now she stood where he once stood. And, waiting on the bench, Adrian Hart, holding their newborn daughter in his arms, smiling like he did on the very first day.